The world's most prestigious and elitist motorsport is finally back in the new Drive to Survive Season 5. All the fans are looking forward to the series directly when the season ends, and they can't wait. The drivers, on the other hand, are not enthusiastic. Most drivers hate the series. F1 drivers are getting tired of the cost of participating or not participating in the Netflix series. Watch the complete video to find out more. So, the Netflix series Drive to Survive is finally here, but despite being a massive hit with fans, Netflix's Drive to Survive does have some flaws when it comes to portraying the sport of Formula 1. Hardcore fans greeted the series with a collective round of applause. The series also introduced new fans to the sport and the world of Formula 1 drivers. Now, the reason why racers don't like the series, the core issue is that Drive to Survive explicitly manipulates footage of real races and driver interactions to make it appear as if there's more drama between the drivers than there actually is, allowing the show to create what are essentially story arcs for specific drivers, as we recently explained. It makes for great television, which explains F1's recent surge in popularity in the United States, but it can also be unfair to drivers who are painted as antagonists simply because of which storylines the Netflix cameras choose to follow. Defending world champion Max Verstappen, for example, has refused to participate in the show since its inception, telling the Associated Press last year that they fake a lot of stuff and created a few rivalries that don't really exist. Netflix presumably likes that stuff because it makes for a better show, but F1 obviously notices that it reflects poorly on drivers and wastes the easy PR that the show is supposed to provide, creating a strange push and pull between the people doing the sport and the people making the show, where it's in everyone's best interest to manipulate footage in various ways. It's also worth noting that the obvious fake drama episodes in the most recent season of Drive to Survive were the least interesting, and the show is at its best when it's just focusing on the mid-tier teams and drivers who don't get the attention of people like Verstappen in the first place. There is a way to do this that should satisfy everyone, it just takes a little more nuance. We'll see if Netflix and Formula 1 can figure it out for themselves. Even without Ferrari, Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton, the first season of Drive to Survive was an instant hit, and fans eagerly awaited subsequent seasons. They didn't, however, have the same fervour as the first. The series' Hollywoodization became more apparent to fans. It featured storylines that were portrayed as controversial, but were sometimes made up. To make the action more interesting, rivalries that did not exist were dramatised. In the eyes of many fans, DTS transitioned from a documentary series to an entertainment series. So, if you're a new fan of the game and wondering what's real and what's not in Drive to Survive, you've come to the right place. We see some on-track action throughout the drama-filled series, but not much. This action usually involves the start, two battling drivers, or a terrifying crash in F1. The sound effects in each of these scenes leaves you wondering where the noise is coming from. They include enhanced crash effects in which you hear something breaking with louder thumps and thuds than in reality. They amplify engine noises, which is more of a comment on the sport and its quiet V6 hybrid engines than on the series itself. Tyre screeches are another exaggerated sound effect. It's amusing to hear a car skidding on a gravel trap, screeching its tyres on occasion. Furthermore, some of the show's commentaries are derived from David Croft and Martin Brundle's Sky F1 live feed from the races. Will Buxton's commentary, on the other hand, is overlaid by Drive to Survive. There are some minor details that only a true F1 fan would notice. A regular viewer tuning in might not, at least for the time being. On the other hand, Drive to Survive must maintain a level of authenticity for the sake of the sport's integrity and as a gesture of respect to its fans. Formula 1 is primarily about its drivers and their abilities behind the wheel of the most extreme vehicles. Respect for the other drivers on the track is an unwritten rule of the sport for obvious safety reasons. Nobody knows what will happen when you go wheel to wheel racing at 230 plus miles per hour. As a result, drivers' rivalries tend to be respectful off track but aggressive on track. Because of this, the drivers are intelligent enough to distinguish between the two. As a result, Season 2 attempted to create tension between two charismatic drivers, Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz. The series appears to want to instill some malice in the rivalry. In Season 4, former McLaren teammates Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz, who has since moved to Ferrari, had a similar incident. minor on-track incidents between the two drivers, two competitive golf buddies off track, were escalated with no substantial evidence of a rivalry. However, anyone who knows F1 and its personalities would see right through these imagined storylines. The series must recognize that the fascinating aspect of a Formula One driver is what goes through their mind while chasing another one down in a race, or squeezing every millisecond of lap time out of their car in qualifying. The producers must recognize that F1 cannot be portrayed in the same tried and true formula as dramatic TV shows. It's a sport full of respect, talent, great personalities, and insanely fast cars. Showcasing that keeps it authentic rather than wasting time Hollywoodizing it. Drive to Survive is notorious for misinterpreting moments and quotes from drivers and team principals to fit their carefully crafted storylines. Sometimes the driver's radio messages were superimposed on an episode based on an entirely different event or race. DTS went so far as to muddle words from different interviews in Season 4 with renowned F1 reporter Will Buxton to create sentences that fit their agenda. Sometimes the sentences don't even make sense, allowing Buxton, a well-known figure, to become a Twitter meme. Max Verstappen, the 2021 F1 Drivers' World Champion, stated in an interview following the release of Season 2, "Because the series is all about suspense, they place you and whatever else fits the episode, so that never really works for me. You are interviewed and they use the words in various contexts, as a result, it never quite fits." Even though we have been dismissive of DTS, we must admit that they do get some things right occasionally. One example is Gunther Rockstar Steiner's portrayal of Haas F1 team's principal. Everyone enjoyed watching the unapologetic, unfiltered, harsh but fair personality in Season 1. Because of the show, Steiner has become a cult hero. When things aren't going well, Drive to Survive should remember that nothing lasts forever. Max Verstappen refused to be interviewed for the show after Season 3, and Lewis Hamilton doesn't reveal much during DTS interviews. This meant that the majority of screen time in Season 4 was devoted to the Red Bull Racing Team principal Christian Horner and Toto Wolff, team principal of rival team Mercedes-AMG F1. However, Verstappen and Hamilton returned to giving interviews in Season 5 of Drive to Survive. Undoubtedly, the fabricated portrayal of facts has put DTS in a difficult position. When asked about the future of Drive to Survive, Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali stated that the show had brought new fans to the sport, particularly in the US market, which will host 3 races in 2023. On the other hand, Domenicali stated that Drive to Survive must add value to the sport to continue in the future. Having said that, the show has been renewed for a 6th season. Let's hope it only gets better. The Drive to Survive series on Netflix depicts the thrills and spills of Formula One's circus. The dramatic bite-sized docuseries allows new viewers to become acquainted with the sport. So what should new and current fans expect in Season 3? Season 1 featured several intriguing storylines, including Haas and Gunther Steiner, Cyril Abiteboul versus Christian Horner, and Daniel Ricciardo at his best. These storylines attracted many new sports fans who have continued to watch for the show's brilliant personalities. Aside from the track, seeing Cyril and Christian repeatedly swing at each other was a highlight. Unfortunately, Ferrari and Mercedes did not appear in the first season, but they did appear in Season 2, with each team having an episode-centric storyline. Season 2 had a different impact than the first season, owing to hardcore fans becoming tired of the overly dramatic sound effects used during race footage. Some episodes attempted to create an intense driver rivalry, but this was too Hollywood for fans of the sport. Despite Mercedes' restrictions, their episode, Dark Days, hit the sweet spot between great storytelling and the intense unknown of a live sporting event. Season 3 must recognize or highlight the drivers' efforts to eliminate racism in their sport and beyond. If you were to make a documentary series about 2020, you must include the climate crisis, COVID-19, and the Black Lives Matter movement. It would be the same with Drive to Survive. It must include the #WeRaceAsOne initiative in some form. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys later.